We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Miami Book Fair, running through November 24th, highlights LGBTQ authors, including one of today's anchors, Caridad Moro, as well as Isabel Camille. The fair showcases identity, love, and storytelling at Wolfson campus.
A surprising report reveals 20% get their news from social media, and especially X, formerly Twitter. Even more surprising, the information is not from professional news sources, but rather influencers. What does this say about fake news?
It's Transgender Day of Remembrance, and facing threats to trans rights, the LGBTQ community lean on historical solidarity and shared strength to navigate fear and find hope. The question really is, are we all in?
This is how Gale Sunderland's glamorous witch vision clashed with studio demands, leading to Margaret Hamilton's iconic green-skinned villain in The Wizard of Oz.
South Florida's Pride Youth Band is ready to unite youth from diverse backgrounds on February 23rd, 2025 at the Parker. We have lots more on this vitally important LGBTQ cultural and artistic organization. Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 10 million views on the only daily live queer news show in the world. We are proud that we have more than 1,000 new subscribers in October, and that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. Over 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Our Television Network, is a non-profit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community. We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Our Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome Caridad Moro-Gronlier, the author of award-winning Tortillera and a book named Visionware. She is a contributing editor for Grabbed and associate editor for Swim Every Day, an online daily poetry journal. She is also the distinguished poet laureate for Miami-Dade County. I feel like she's already one of my best friends. Welcome back to the roundtable, Caridad. How are you?
I'm great, and it's wonderful to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you. I can't wait to get into everything with you in a little bit.
Me too. Super excited.
Let's welcome Dr. Adam DeRosa. He has been a member of the South Florida Pride Concert Band since the year 2000. Since joining, Adam has served on the board as secretary, treasurer, and president. For many years, Adam wrote grants for the band and was awarded nearly $200,000 in his tenure. Adam also served as president of the Pride Bands Alliance, formerly known as the Lesbian and Gay Bands Association, from the years 2011 to 2013, coordinating the organization's appearance in the 2013 inaugural parade for President Obama. Adam, it is so lovely to meet you. Fort Lauderdale's 62nd annual celebration will be on Las Olas Boulevard on December 3rd. Tell me what's happening.
Well, we have a long-standing history with the organizers of Christmas on Las Olas. It's kind of a way to kick off the holidays for a lot of folks in Fort Lauderdale. We're super excited that our steel band and our jazz band will be performing on the main stage at 6th Street at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, December 3rd.
And they can just go to our tickets. You need to purchase tickets before. You can walk right up. It's a free experience.
It absolutely is a free experience. It can get crowded, so you want to get there early. The event officially opens at 5. We perform at 6, but it goes through the evening. There's lots of great things happening on Las Olas, and it's an opportunity to go out and kick off the holidays.
You heard it here first, and you matched your ad. Your shirt is matching the ad as well for it. So it starts at 5, guys. So Las Olas, that means like get there by like 4:15, 4:30, to really make sure you have a spot for the magic. Let's welcome welcome back, anchor, Dr. Bobby Huen. He's a certified civil and family mediator and a founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. From Hong Kong and having grown up across the world, he can offer a queer global perspective on current events. Bobby, out and proud, greetings from Broward Bar Crawl and Youth Clothing Drive is on November 23rd. Tell me what's happening.
So on Wilton Drive, this coming Saturday, November 23rd, there's a bar crawl / youth clothing drive going on, benefiting Out My Closet and other LGBT homeless organizations.
Fabulous.
So the event is actually free. It starts at 3 p.m. at Lit Bar on Wilton Drive, so across the street from
And is the idea you bring clothing with you that you're going to donate it, and they have boxes set up in every bar?
Donations are appreciated. The event asks for a donation of $10, and they also raffle for an additional $10 as well. Or you can bring lightly used or brand new clothing that someone young would wear.
Absolutely. And where can we find more information about the event? Did you just go to what's happening in Wilton Manors? I'm sure it's everywhere.
Actually, it's on Eventbrite.
Great.
So you just search "Greetings from Broward Bar Crawl," and you'll see it right there.
Who doesn't love a day drink? We'll see you there. Let's welcome back Alex Morash. Alex has written for The Advocate and served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine. He has also served as media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome, Alex. Tell me what's happening, my friend.
Thank you for having me back, Eric.
Always.
Well, I think this weekend I'm going to have to do some day drinking for the children. But the other thing is, while people are out on the drive this weekend, they should pick up the latest edition of Out South Florida, because they'll have a new piece in talking about the Democratic Party's ineffectiveness of attacking trans people and why our community deserves better.
And that's in this week's issue?
It's going to come out Thursday. So yes, I'll talk about it more next week. I don't want to.
I was going to say, all right, we'll go back. We'll circle back next Tuesday.
But. Of course, this is today's lead anchor, Eric Restivo. Eric is well known for DJing at some of the largest clubs in West Hollywood and has had residences in LA, P-Town, New York City, and now Wilton Manors. He is the television host of The W Boys, focusing on LGBTQ love for entertainment, broadcast on Fridays and then on demand. Eric, you host a karaoke experience bi-weekly on Sunday night at Tropics Grill. Tell me, what's happening?
Yes, I would love to tell you what's happening. I just started a new karaoke. I call it an experience because it truly is. We're creating a new ambiance. It's not just, a random singer taking requests. It's a sing-along. It's a sense of community. It's a safe space. I celebrate women. I celebrate everyone. It's just a feeling of happiness for 2.5 hours. And the first night did so well that they're going to be doing it every single Sunday starting in December. So please come and sing with me. There are no bad singers in my karaoke experience. That I promise. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. First, this evening, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Miami Book Fair welcomes queer voices and diverse stories this month. The 41st Miami Book Fair has begun and will run through November 24th, bringing over 500 authors to downtown Miami for a celebration of literature and storytelling. Among this year's participants are 2 influential queer authors, Caridad Moro, who is next to me on the show tonight, and Isabel Camille, whose work promises to resonate with LGBTQ audiences. Caridad Moro, Miami's newly named Poet Laureate, brings her lyrical talent to the stage, offering poetic insights that capture the complexities of identity and belonging. Isabel Camille, a Haitian-American educator, shares her powerful memoir titled Soul's Mom, a transgender journey of love, loss, and letting go. The fair, hosted at Miami-Dade College's Wolfson campus, culminates in the street fair from November 22nd to the 24th, featuring live readings, discussions, and booths. With affordable tickets and free admission for children under 12, that's awesome, by the way. It's an event for all ages. Let's hear more about the fair, along with its impact and importance in the present America, from the one and only Miami-Dade County's Poet Laureate, my new bestie, Caridad. We are proud to have you anchor at Queer News tonight. And I'm just going to jump right into it with you because you are such an interesting human. I met you 30 minutes ago and I already feel your kind energy. How important do you think in this climate right now, with what just happened a few weeks ago at the election, feels like it was yesterday and it was 2 weeks. How important to you is queer educators and being present and being there for representation for the children? You are a high school teacher, a mother, a superhero woman, and your wife is a special ed teacher. So you guys are really doing the work. How important do you think it is right now?
I think it is so important to be there as a role model, as you said, to show representation and to also be an ally to the student who may not have anyone to talk to.
Right.
And now that the vitriol and the anti-LGBTQ sentiment is at a fever pitch,
right,
students are going quiet. So it's important to let them know that they have someone to speak to.
I wanted to touch on that before we got into Tortillera, because I feel we spoke really quick about a student, or maybe not your student, but people at the high school who may be in a same-sex relationship and they're figuring it out. And at this time last year, they felt more comfortable than they do now. And you made it your point to normalize wife coming from a female's mouth. How much more of that do we need?
We need that so much. We need that all the time.
Yeah.
I think that if we normalize that, I introduce my wife to everyone as this is my wife because that's exactly what she is.
Right.
And when I was unmuzzled, I always said spouse. Mm-hmm. As an English teacher, having all sorts of synonyms help you, counteract the silence that they want to impose upon us. Mm-hmm. But once we were free to say, yes, I am a lesbian and I have a wife, I started to do that again. And as I was saying to you, the students, just to know that they stand a little taller,
right,
and they aren't afraid to be who they are. And I think that we owe our students, our children, the opportunity to be who they are without fear. We had that. Right. And it's part of my mission that my students don't have to have even an iota of less of an existence. And I had, and I have, and will continue to have.
You just gave me the chills. Well, this circles right back to the Miami Book Fair because it's an event for all ages, to be fair. It's free for anyone under 12. There's 500 different queer authors. You are one of the head honchos, the main acts. Tortillera, tell me a little bit, now it's being re-released, the hard copy cover of it. These poems that you have in this book, this collection of poetry, what do they touch upon for you as a queer author, and what can we expect without giving away too much when we open up your collection of poetry?
It's really the trajectory of my journey as a Cuban-American lesbian who married a man, fit the expectations that were set forth for me.
Yeah.
And then I had to break that paradigm, right?
Yeah.
I tried it on and it didn't fit, so I went out and I got a whole new outfit. And I show the negotiation of culture, of being able to be a lesbian with a wife at a Noche Buena dinner. That's that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then it's me negotiating that space, because then there's I came out, now what? You're still you.
It's there,
and it's the negotiation of, okay, so what does this mean for me now? And then the final segment of the book is really me within my own skin,
feeling yourself
and feeling it, and there are poems about my marriage, and finding the space to have honesty, not just with my partner, but with the whole world.
I wish that there were more people who are listening to these words come out of your mouth right now, because I feel like there's so many people in unhappy marriages and they stay because of what you kind of mentioned. You know, this is what you think you have to do, and you broke that. For the Miami Book Fair, what can we really look forward to when we actually get there amongst all of these different vendors and booths?
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And the moment you walk in, you're going to see the vendors, and you can books galore, but there's also going to be music.
Yeah.
There's going to be all sorts of reading for any single type of topic you can think of. You want gardens? There's a book on gardening. You like, motorcycles? You like karaoke? You like poetry? You like mystery? There's something for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it is such a welcoming space.
Yeah.
And the authors are very generous. The staff is very helpful. And it's almost like people who have like sensibilities have gathered in this space to share knowledge. And to me, that's like church, right?
You seem like a fountain of so much knowledge. I could talk to you for the next 45 minutes as if we don't have, another 6 stories. I did want to say congratulations for your new position as Poet Laureate.
Very exciting. First gay woman.
Let's go at this table. Yes, absolutely. And also just quickly, happy 12-year anniversary from your first
Thank you. Yes, 12 years ago today I met my love.
Yes,
I love you, honey.
Yes.
Next, let's queer up gay culture. Shocking report says 20% of LGBTQ get their news from social media influencers. A Pew Research Center study reveals a surprising trend. About 20% of Americans, and especially LGBTQ Americans, get their news from social media influencers. The report, based on a large national survey, highlights for the growing role of influencers during key events, including the 2024 presidential campaign. Platforms Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube dominate the news ecosystem. Radical Information on X, formerly Twitter, was the top information distributor. Influencers discussed a range of topics, including elections, politics, race, abortion, and queer rights. Among the influencers who have a significant impact, figures like progressive podcast host Brian Tyler Cohen and conservative podcaster Ben Shapiro, along with nonpartisan personalities such as Chris Cillizza, dominate the landscape. The study highlights that 63% of influencers are male, with 77% having no media organization affiliation. This brings to light concerns of journalistic professionalism and the future of traditional legacy media. With most influencers stay politically neutral, slightly more lean conservative than liberal. Notably, TikTok influencers were more likely to show support for LGBTQ rights or identify as LGBTQ themselves. However, media analysts caution that influencers lacking editorial standards could inadvertently spread false information. As the lines blur between news and influence, this trend reshapes how LGBTQ+ individuals engage with current events. The new survey may be the first signs to suggest there will be a new meaning to fake news. As an educator, it's horrifying because I spend a lot of time now debunking false news.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I see it's starting to descend into the DNA of education and of everything that we have to face.
And it is not inadvertent. I know, I respect the piece of saying inadvertent. No,
I knew you were going to
I agree. It's very systemic.
Actively spread by people like Libs of TikTok, Elon Musk.
Right.
Literally, we have a trillionaire spreading fake information, targeting LGBTQ people on his bloody platform, and surrounded himself with like-minded individuals, and he amplify them, give them money.
Well,
and now he is trying to buy a government,
right.
The United States government.
As someone who's
I think he successfully did already, yeah.
As someone who's run a news outlet and been part of Media Matters and countering fake news and whatnot, I actually see a lot of hope with this, because too often legacy media is too much of a gatekeeper. I think of someone like V of Under the Desk News on TikTok, a queer news person who has not been given a shot by legacy media. I look at how many ways people are trying to talk about and break into news, and often these big institutions who don't even have the money to hire people anymore, let's just be frank, aren't really doing their jobs anymore. And when I think about fake news, I know you were not talking about, our government is sort of starting to create all sorts of fake news that they demand our teachers teach. Though I'm more worried about our government and the owner of Twitter than I am with most of these influencers. I think the biggest shock to me looking at this was just the difference between queer people and TikTok. That to me was a big thing. The fact that queer people were more on TikTok, and then when you look at those connected to legacy media, which there are plenty, that they were far less likely to identify as LGBTQ.
Well, and there's more agency in TikTok, isn't there?
That's what I was just going to say too. And there's more money. There's more money being thrown around. Like these influencers who are going on and reading their card right in front of the camera for whatever ad they're being paid to spread. Not enough people at home are remembering this. These people are paid to say a lot of these things. They most likely do not even believe with the things that they're saying.
Well,
so, you know, it's
a Russian influencer operation that was busted on YouTube.
Okay.
And then there's the suspected, Musk literally are paying the likes of Ben Shapiro and Joe Rogan and all these people.
Well, their influencers on both sides of the political aisle are given money and support to talk, which is not that unusual.
That's not new, right, exactly.
You know,
that's not new, correct.
But I still, that idea that people in legacy media are less likely to be LGBTQ, and what does that mean about media today on queer representation in mainstream media?
Well, media, this is big, right? Because it's like, because we can get into so much here, because so many people commented on our part, I'm assuming our all party here, and the mockery of how, you know, Megan Thee Stallion is freaking, I was living for it, don't get me wrong, but they will hold that against us. The Democrats and our media and marketing campaign for Kamala looked sillier compared to this. Meanwhile, they're on a plane eating McDonald's and whatever, but don't get me started with that. But I think that everything in media, I think it's a much bigger conversation that's going to be had soon. I don't know the future of TikTok, though. Is it going to be around? Will they keep it? Or
the president-elect has said that he will save TikTok.
He'll save it. Oh,
I was actually horrified that President-elect Trump and I agree on something.
Okay.
Because it was actually a Democratic...
But didn't he once say that... Or was it the Democrats who said we were going to get rid of TikTok?
Yes, Joe Biden signed legislation to get rid of it.
I didn't mind that.
So, but it's also a social media platform that has a lot more progressive voices that...
Now.
Yes. Well, a year ago it had a lot of progressive voices too, and Joe Biden wanted to get rid of it. I was shocked.
Also with now, literally this is breaking with so many millions of people migrating to Blue Sky, especially mostly liberal-leaning users of shitter who it's just done and fed up with Elon Musk BS. Twitter is going to become even more and more of a conservative echo chamber, but Elon Musk put a giant microphone in front of it so that he can pretend that the collective opinion of Twitter equals collective opinion of America. But that's not true.
To me, Twitter is literally just porn now. It's not I don't see anything other than porn and
porn is
I'm like, where's the conservative part of Twitter? All I see are people being exactly the opposite on Twitter.
That's because I'm
not on it.
That's because you curated your.
I just have a lot of friends who are on OnlyFans, and I respect their hustle, but they use Twitter for their main.
Adult content creators are actually a very reliable harbinger of the direction of technology. When it transitioned from porn movies to porn videotapes.
Amateur tapes, right.
They switched to porn switched to VHS first, and the rest of the industry followed, and Betamax went bye-bye. And then DVD and streaming. Porn was being streamed long before Netflix,
any of that, right? Of
Netflix
course.
was being a thing, and now a lot. As I read my alternative feed. That's not my professional feed. I see a lot of adult content creators are now announcing migration to Blue Sky. If they're losing porn, Twitter is going to be nothing but basically Tucker Carlson fans trolling each other all over.
For those of you at home who may not be up to date or may just live under a rock, Blue Sky is everyone's new version of Twitter. Basically, that's what.
It's more secure, right now, and you can actually filter out people you don't like. And
speaking of
people I don't like, let's talk about me. Next, let's queer up social justice. LGBTQ Nation inspires us to consider how Transgender Day of Remembrance means to queer and trans people, and we need each other. In the wake of Donald Trump's shocking victory in 2024 presidential election, the LGBTQ community faces uncertainty and fear, with many turning to various coping mechanisms, from seeking solace in entertainment and fandom spaces to engaging in activism and preparing for personal safety. The weight of Trump's promises to ban gender-affirming care and restrict trans rights has left the queer community reeling. Despite the challenging road ahead, one clear path to hope remains: the power of community. Mira Lazine, a trans author of the recent article in LGBTQ Nation, shares her emotional and motivating personal experience showing the power of community. She shares, quote, "When I was homeless and living in a shady motel, other queer people took me in and gave me a home to recuperate and rebuild my life. When I needed a source of income, queer people took a chance on me and gave me opportunities I never could have dreamed of." End quote. Lazine says that this solidarity traces back to key moments in history: the Stonewall Uprising, the AIDS epidemic, and the tireless efforts of Black trans women. These events remind us of the strength in unity, with queer people protecting one another from persecution. In the face of adversity, the message is clear: we need each other. As we approach Transgender Day of Remembrance, it's essential to remember that no matter how tough things get, queer people are not alone. All boats rise with the tide. And Lazine reminds us that lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans and queer people are in this together. Which actually lead me saying this, and thank you for the information from my friend and Alex.
Anchor.
For me, despite the fact that 2024 election was a disaster, one of the things that is actually really comforting is the fact that the LGBT community actually really rally behind Kamala Harris.
Correct.
We have swung from in 2020, some 20% of LGBTQ community voted for Trump. This year, Trump only won 12% of the LGBTQ votes. 88% voted for Kamala Harris. Of course, part of it is because his extremely bellicose rhetoric towards our community, but also there's a certain unity going on here. But on the other hand, I want to condemn certain people that have been on social media advocating for the exclusion of trans from the LGBTQ community, including people like Michael Doherty, who is an influencer, several gay Republicans who thinks that, ditching the trans issue is going to make them feel welcome, that only give them like first class seats to the re-education camps that I'm sure Christian nationalists is going to send us to. And the thing is, we cannot just ditch a part of community. We're either or nothing. If we start splintering, like, gays against lesbians, bis,
Listen, we really need to avoid hate from within the community, from within our community. When we're against each other, there's nothing good that will come out of that. Yeah. So I agree with you there.
But when we are in community,
we're great.
There is nothing that can more welcoming, more loving, more fun and powerful.
Right.
And I think we can't forget that it's so easy to draw ranks and hide. I've been hiding in my garden for the past 2 weeks, but being here with you guys today made me realize, my God, I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
And we just really need to focus on that, and it's hard.
It is, and especially for trans children who most of the time choose family, because a lot of time they're given family, blood family, whatever you want to call it, family is family, but their born family per se does not accept them. So the chosen family is actually the family that raises this human.
I had a Friendsgiving for my trans babies a few years ago, and it was one of the most powerful, amazing Thanksgiving celebrations I've ever had.
I bet.
Because I gave those babies a place to come. And we sang Oasis, Wonderwall at the end of the night. And I just mentioned that because if it ends in a sing-along, Isn't that
great.
family?
Absolutely.
Isn't that like what we all want?
Especially that song. I love that song.
What Bobby was saying earlier, we are like really in community, and there's not as much division as people try to make out.
You're right.
People that you mentioned are like, we did a piece about Bari Weiss, who's allegedly bisexual all of a sudden, which was news to me about Bari. But she's, from the New York Times, I think, trying to attack trans people. Like, those are fringe, random character that's not actually representative of the community.
What's that site? We talk about. Help me out. Gays Against Groomers.
Gays Against Groomers.
That is run by a lesbian Republican, and her Instagram handle is the gay who strayed. That is her personal handle.
That's one person out of millions.
No, I know, but it's a major platform.
But
and
that's the one that gets the news, and
that's the one that's on everything.
And it
Gays
spurs
Against
the
Groomers.
narrative, right?
That's also like the far right, looks for people like that. There's an anti-feminist group called Wolf that likes to, do similar things.
I mean, it's astroturfing. Like Gays Against Groomers, Lips of TikTok.
We've talked about it here before. That's why.
Moms for Liberty.
Right.
1 million.
Yeah, which is more
we
like
talk about that a lot here.
But I just want to add. Never mind. Actually,
no. Go ahead. Bookmark it. Bookend it. Yeah.
No. I just want to say that this kind of cruelty is not going to end anytime soon. I just want to highlight today's example. Republicans in Congress, Sarah McBride from Delaware, is going to be the first trans person to enter the House of Representatives in the United States Capitol, and today Republicans filed a bill to ban her from use. It is literally the target is one person, one trans person, her. And Republicans are filing a bill to ban her from using women's bathrooms today. The cruelty is the point with these people.
Sarah McBride also has a very passionate personal story. She lost her lover to cancer in their 20s. And she was always around in the DC scene, just this wonderful person. And to hear what Republicans are doing, I could go on all night talking about how insulted I am about that. But don't forget, everyone, tomorrow is Transgender Day of Remembrance. And next, let's queer up entertainment. If Gale Sondergaard didn't quit 1939's The Wizard of Oz, there would not be Wicked today. As excitement builds for the upcoming movie release, the legacy of The Wizard of Oz is sparking fascinating behind-the-scenes revelations from the past. One of the most iconic villains in cinematic history, the Wicked Witch of the West, was originally set to be played by Oscar-winning actress Gale Sondergaard in 1939. However, her version of the character would have looked vastly different from the iconic green-skinned witch we all know, before Margaret Hamilton was finally cast because Sondergaard turned down the role for being so ugly, essentially so wicked. Sondergaard underwent costume tests that revealed a glamorous take on the witch. Her designs included a sequin cape, a black hood, and glamorous makeup, which I would love for myself. Look that resembled the evil queen from Snow White, far from the frightening, pointy-chinned villain Hamilton portrayed. However, the studio pushed for a more ugly witch look with heavy makeup, and this is when Sondergaard just opted to drop out. She feared the disfiguring makeup would hurt her career, which was already challenging for actresses over 40 at the time. This decision of Sondergaard opened the doors for Hamilton, and the world got to see the unforgettable Wicked Witch of the West. Fast forward 56 years, and Gregory Maguire is moved in his words by the ugly green witch to write his novel, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. 8 years later, the musical debuts on Broadway, and nearly 30 years later, the Ugly Green Witch becomes world famous in the new movie that premieres this week. Alphaba, played by Cynthia Erivo, becomes an LGBTQ icon. Broadway star Idina Menzel, the original Ugly Green Witch, told Queer News Tonight Al Ferguson in an exclusive interview that Alphaba was a queer character.
To kind of get into that character every day and feeling that sort of loneliness, I think, was something that I tapped into, and maybe the queer community tapped into with Alphaba, the sort of this young person that feels so much and has so much fire in her and magic, sorcery, and is afraid to really surrender that for fear of hurting the people that she loves,
Cynthia Erivo spoke this week about her thoughts that Defying Gravity is about challenges of the LGBTQ experience, and it was all due to Gale Sunderland, who wanted to make the Wicked Witch glamorous. The rest, as they say, is history. You know, I'm sorry, I'm with Sunderland. I would have loved a glamorous Wicked Witch. Like, let's really do it up like that. But, you know.
But then Glinda wouldn't have shown as brightly. We needed the polarity.
I understand what film, yes.
By the way, I mean, in Act 2, Elphaba gets her bedazzled black cape and the black hat. I don't know how much about this story, because I will say this. It said the studio pushed for an uglier witch, so it sounds like they were going to get the witch no matter what, the actress. So I don't know if it wouldn't have happened if she didn't quit. However, I was confused reading the story at first because I was confused by the quotes, and it was actually the actress who quit, Sondergaard, calling the ugly, because I'm like, it's this ugly thing is the narrative is weird to me. But the queer part of it is not weird nor new to me, because the novel was my first introduction to, I think, a character that was born with both. They make it in the first chapter to tell you that Elphaba was born with both male and female reproductive organs, making her just slightly different from everyone surrounding her. This is a novel and story where animals talk and Tin Man walk, and it's always been this. So I never really thought it wouldn't happen if she didn't say that to the role. I just think it would have been differently.
Also, the Wizard of Oz tales, they all had like these beautiful villains and villains.
Beautiful.
One thing, another great Wizard of Oz movie was Return to Oz, that Disney actually really tried to keep to the original. And that villain there, they did a very beautiful but still scary.
Wasn't that Nancy from The Craft?
Yeah, and she had like 40 heads. And as a little kid, I was so freaked out by the 40 heads.
Oh my God, it's streaming right now on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, but before we get into more, did you see this film yesterday? What did you think of it?
I did. I saw Wicked yesterday. I loved it. But I have a BFA in musical theater. I was up for Bach on Broadway. Didn't get it. Alex Brightman got it over for me. And then he played Beetlejuice. He's really good. It was a love letter to the Broadway production. It wasn't TV thought, they didn't TV-a-thon it. They didn't make it something it wasn't. I thought Ariana Grande was a masterclass in acting, and the singing followed. Cynthia Erivo, we will be seeing much more of her on our screens. Everything was sung live. They both did their own stunts. I got a spray tan a day before it. I wouldn't recommend that because I just cried my eyes out, and it went by so fast. And if you know the Broadway production, you know how it's going. You know that this part one is ending after Defying Gravity. So once that starts, you're like, holy shit, this is it. The theater was standing up and applauding. People were dressed up. People were green. It was magical, and it was queer. It was lovely. It really was.
So earlier this year, my book club read a book called Finding Dorothy, and it was all about Frank L. Baum's wife and her narrative in terms of the Hollywood production. So I think one of the things we think about when we talk about that is that series had been around for decades. So people not only knew the story, but it was highly illustrated by artists. So they had a very, very clear vision of what these characters look like. So they think just like you're saying with Wicked and what people know from the Broadway, there's an expectation,
absolutely,
right? Yeah, that you're gonna be kind and honor the source.
Absolutely.
Material, so
I'm gonna admit, that I've never read the books.
You should read the book.
And that my only connection is to the movies because it came once a year and it was like a rite of passage in my house.
Right.
But this actually is so beautiful for my whole ethos because you always got to go back to the book.
You have to read the book. You'll read it so fast.
Always.
It's so
I'm just
good.
making my list.
Read
the thing that might take you for a loop is MGM invented the ruby slippers, so there'll be silver slippers. So that confuse
well,
you.
That was because the book originally was some
it was a little more grotesque. It was a little more grotesque,
It was a parable about silver standard versus gold standard.
Right.
Well, it came out during the Depression.
And
it was
Wizard
very progressive
progressive era. But the thing is, I have known so many baby gays who does not know what Wizard of Oz is, who Judy Garland is. We're losing a...
Do your homework. Do your homework, people.
We need to have
I think
then
they're all gonna
Wizard
learn.
of Oz nights.
Let's do it. You tell me when.
Oh my
I'm there. I'm going to do a
gosh.
Wizard of Oz trivia theme tomorrow night at the pub. I'll see you there.
Oh, Lord.
I
9
love
p.m.
it.
And really read the book. I'm going to ask you.
I will read the
I'm going to
book.
circle back
I will.
on that. Next, let's queer up. Today's great. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. South Florida Pride Youth Band set to shine in 2025. The South Florida Pride Concert Band proudly announces the 14th annual Pride Youth Band program, bringing music and unity to South Florida students. Open to all high school students, the program fosters artistic excellence, diversity, and resilience against bullying. Renowned conductor Sheldon Williams, Associate Director of Bands at West Virginia University, and Dan Bassett, friend of the show from last week, Artistic Director of the Pride Concert Band, will lead this year's ensemble. It will take place on Sunday, February 23rd, 2025 at the Parker, a gorgeous venue in Fort Lauderdale. South Florida Pride Bands is one of the nation's largest LGBTQ cultural music organizations. The Pride Youth Band is vital to the South Florida community, especially in light of the recent attacks in Florida on LGBTQ plus youth. Dr. Adam DeRosa, by the way, also celebrating 15 years with your partner. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
A band member since the year 2000 and the president. You are an anchor with us tonight, and you are here to shed light on the Pride Youth Band, its significance and highlights, and other future performances. Welcome, Adam. Take me to the beginning.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this. The youth band, the idea of it was occurred in 2011 at a board meeting where we were trying to find an opportunity, and it was at the time where the It Gets Better movement was happening. And as adults, as openly gay musicians, we thought, how do we give back? We were also having students under 18 knocking at our door to join our band. And we're an 18 plus organization. So we said, why don't we do a youth band? And so myself and Dan Bassett, we kind of created this. And then in 2012, it debuted. We had 25 really eager and many openly gay students who performed themselves and then side by side with our organization. And since then it has evolved. It was always a special experience. Our high school students are incredibly busy. So this commitment for them is 4 weeks. We get them at the beginning of February. They have 3 Sunday rehearsals and then we do a concert.
Wow.
So that kind of turnaround is amazing. And we always wanted it to be scholarship driven. Not for any sort of academic merit, but for leaders, that they're coming and participating in what we call an honor band and playing music that maybe they can't play in their high school band and being around very like-minded students. So all of that, fast forward to 14 years later, we've given away over $200,000 in scholarships.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is our 3rd year that we're partnering with Floatorama. Floatorama has a soloist competition. That soloist will win $7,500 towards college. And this year, Floatorama is our presenting sponsor as we move into the Parker Playhouse, which is a huge thing for any arts organization.
That's major. That's major.
So that's where we are, and we're super excited. We start rehearsals with our adult band in January, and we see the students at the beginning of February, and then the concert. Tickets are already on sale. Go to the Parker website. Is on, as you mentioned, February 23rd at 7 o'clock. It's a wonderful evening, an audience filled with the students and their family members. Keep in mind, some of these students, when they perform at their school, they perform in the cafeteria. So being able to go to a venue like the Parker is super special for them.
So special.
Yeah.
You guys, both of you are doing such amazing work with youth,
you had me at high
students.
school.
I was going to say, I feel a collab.
I
soon.
love it.
Adam, similar to what I asked Caridad, how important do you think is it right now, especially in light of what's going on, for these children to feel seen, to feel heard, to know that they have an outlet run by another queer musician and educator? Not to get choked up about it, but it's important. How does that? How do you handle that?
Well, 2 things. One is, from the get-go, we wanted it to be an explicitly safe environment.
Yeah.
That there would be zero tolerance for anything but welcoming and being nice and whatnot. And in music, sometimes it's competitive, right? You want that solo. You want to sit in a certain chair. But we also wanted it to
chair
be
one,
an
honey.
environment. The other thing that I think is important is our organization, the South Florida Pride Bands, we're coming up on 40 years.
Yeah.
We're one of the oldest LGBTQ plus arts organizations in Florida. And I think the other piece of it is telling these students that even though you might not pursue music as a career, music can always be part of your life, in the community band movement, whether it's an LGBTQ plus band or other, that you can continue to make music. And I think that message, and they see the adults ranging from 18 to 80 that they play next to, that we get together and this is our leisure activity and really kind of something to do. It gives them the idea that, you know, I'm going to go to college and be a lawyer, but I can still play my flute.
You sure can. You sure can.
And so that's important to us, to keep that music going, even if it's not how they're going to make a living.
Well, I thank you, because as I was a young gay band member, I was in orchestra.
We're going to recruit you. What did you play?
I played the tenor saxophone.
Oh, we have room.
And
My
then
wife played the bassoon.
We have definitely room for a
it
bassoon player.
It was educators like both of you at the table that made me feel safe enough to pursue theater as, you know, an in-the-closet guy in college, in high school, and then moving into theater in college. If it wasn't for educators like you, I don't think that I would have
No
pursued
shade
musical.
to math teachers, but true story.
Yeah.
The teachers that are most remembered are English, drama, and band.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's
very true.
Sorry.
And you can get more information on the concert February 23rd, 2025 at the Parker website. Just go to the Parker. It'll be right there on the events page. And Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yes, we're happy to have you.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. Tonight's broadcast is presented by viewers like you and the generous support of Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ 1 Minute News. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Denzel confirms his same-sex kiss has been deleted from Gladiator 2. Director Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2, set in ancient Rome, has stirred buzz for cutting 2 same-sex kisses from its final cut. Star Denzel Washington revealed his character Macrinus shared a passionate kiss with another man. Talking about the removal of his kissing scene during the final cut, Washington said, quote, "I actually kissed a man in the film. I think they got chicken," end quote. Paul Mescal also revealed that his unscripted scripted forehead kiss on Pedro Pascal didn't make the final edit, though Scott has promised its inclusion in the director's cut. Despite the cuts, the film boasts queer talent, including Mescal and out actors Derek Jacobi and Matt Lucas in supporting roles. Fans hope the director's cut restores these moments of queer representation. I've been a fan of director's cut since they Scream let out the director's cut, but it doesn't matter to me so much. The fact that we've got queer actors in the film, I'm happy just to see that representation.
Well, let's face it, there are only two words that explain this cut. Foreign markets. China will censor it. Certain area theaters, such as certain markets such as Malaysia, will ban the film outright if there's any kind of same-sex activity. So it's understandable to have to cut it.
But that global perspective, Bobby Huen, see?
I'll be honest. I think we should have cut this film 20 years ago. How old was the original Gladiator?
I don't know. I didn't even know Denzel Washington was in it.
Why? I understand having to create a cut for international markets, but why not release the director's cut here and then offer them the cut version? So it speaks also to the current climate and that they very much chickened out.
Well, this is why I think we should just go back to rewatching Spartacus on Stars. Plenty of full frontal male in that one, and that's much more accurate in my opinion.
Oh, Alex.
Well, next, LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. What is the world coming to when people are writing sexy fan fiction about Donald Trump and Joe Biden? Hold on.
You okay?
Let me stop my dry heaves. Fan fiction featuring Joe Biden and Donald Trump as romantic leads is making its way onto platforms like Archive of Our Own, also known as AO3, and Wattpad. Yes, the same spaces where LGBTQ fans celebrate Good Omens, Lord of the Rings, and One Direction. There are about 65,000 words on AO3 with the ship between Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson. That said, the existence of explicit fan fiction featuring outgoing Democratic President Joe Biden and Republican President-elect Donald Trump is something we never imagined or wanted to encounter.
It's a book or it's a comic?
No, it's fan fiction. It's like prose.
The Scent of Pat. So that's a.
Wattpad, both Wattpad and Archive of Our Own. Actually, I know that AO3 accepts also artistic entries like drawings and such.
So it's just fan.
Yeah, fan drawing. But the vast majority of them, absolute majority of them, are prose, basically erotic stories or romantic stories.
So when I see fan fiction graphics of movies, they come from this website.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll see a lot more in terms of graphics on Tumblr.
Oh, okay.
AO3 is more for words because Tumblr is not very good with hosting. It's very tiny and difficult to read. But what happens is that what's funny is that one of the very earliest fan fiction thing is gay. Spock/Kirk.
Oh yes, I've seen that one.
And
much easier on the eyes than the last one.
But that all the way back in the 60s, that's when fan fiction started to develop, and now it's rolling into a ball. You can find fan fiction of just about anything, about anyone, from boys.
Yeah, I mean the Beetlejuice 2 poster was fake until it was real. It was, you remember when it was just rumors and then it was real? Yeah.
I do, but you know what? I first want to thank Queer News Tonight for not trying to find too many photos of Trump and Biden making out. I think one hint was enough for me today. And
Thank you for engineer.
I really have to say to our audience and to those online that write this, you boomers are into really weird kinky shit. I do not understand how you guys connect this.
Boys, I'm sticking with Wizard of Oz.
I'm sticking with Caridad.
Let me put it this way. I mean, I'm gonna need a lot of martinis to wash away this particular bit of information out of.
If only there was a fundraiser you could go to on the 23rd. And
I cannot wait that long.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up religion. Trump's religious leader says there will be no more rainbow flags after January 20. Controversial televangelist and Christian nationalist Kenneth Copeland proclaimed in his recent Sunday sermon, "Now the atmosphere has been cleansed. No more rainbow flags. No more." Then an audience member responded, "Thank you, Jesus." Copeland, a member of Trump's Faith Advisory Council, linked his remarks to a broader so-called spiritual awakening and targeted LGBTQ symbols, Margaret Sanger, and Planned Parenthood. The true axis of evil. It is not surprising, though. Before Trump's election, he led a prayer during a broadcast of the Rescue America tour, where he asked God to, quote, break the power of the homosexual lesbian spirits that are trying to ruin our children and ruin this nation, end quote. This hypocritical televangelist lives in a lavish $6.3 million mansion and owns a $20 million private jet. Despite his evangelical and anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, allegations of sexual abuse and other controversies continue to follow him. I see a story like this, and I just want to start with, I love my homosexual lesbian spirits. Like, you need more of that in our lives.
Yeah, agreed.
I also want to bring up a serious policy point. People forget Joe Biden signed into legislation banning rainbow flags at our embassies. And so, this has actually already been started by our government and is being perpetuated by another administration. And it's so sickening to watch.
For me, it's like, does it really bother you that much? I mean, that we have one thing? It's a rainbow.
This is
can we just have it? I mean,
they are running out.
You've got a jet. You've got a $20 million jet.
They're running out of things to attack us for. That's the problem. The reason that they are so hyper-focused on trans issues is that the rest of the alphabets don't work with political attacks anymore. By and large, people are very comfortable with gay, lesbian, and bi people, and therefore trans is
the
not
normal
the weird
gay
one.
guy,
Yes.
as
JD
Vance called it.
I can't.
To fact-check you, Bobby, he was talking about the homosexual lesbian spirits, but I digress.
But the thing with these preachers, with these hucksters, or as I call them, religious grifters, they are simply just trying to stir up, donations from the ignorant and the poorly educated and the hateful.
I'm sure we will find out some terrible story about this man in the next 3 months, because this is what he is trying to do. He's trying to distract us all, get rid of the rainbow flags. Let's focus on the homosexual lesbian spirits who are welcome in my home, honey. So just stay tuned. This guy looks like he's got bad news written all over him. LGBTQ 1-minute news. Let's queer up social justice. Say it ain't so. Florida Senator Lara Trump. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is facing mounting pressure to appoint Lara Trump to the U.S. Senate seat vacated by Marco Rubio. MAGA supporters, including Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr., are lobbying hard. I would say, excuse me, but I don't care. Are lobbying hard for the former TV producer and Eric Trump's spouse. Lara Trump, who hasn't been officially approached, told Fox's Maria Bartiromo she'd strongly consider the role. DeSantis has until January to decide, but this pick could redefine his political alliances and will also impact the LGBTQ community of Florida. Lara Trump is as anti-LGBTQ as they come. In her online show, The Right View with Lara Trump, she recently falsely linked President Joe Biden's acknowledgement of trans rights to a series of unrelated global and domestic issues. She also criticized the Biden administration for acknowledging Transgender Day of Visibility on the same day as Easter Sunday. Listen, it's been a lot.
She's married to Eric Trump. That's all I got for you.
It's like, yeah, I, for fear that I'm just going to say something awful, I'm just going to say no.
No.
That's my comment. No.
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 And aren't they want to be done with legacy and equity appointments and the all the special favors they say we get, and they want to elevate her?
Oh, it was never about. I mean, they attack DEI, but they want to protect legacy because they want to perpetuate white supremacy and patriarchy.
Correct. And privilege.
This is an excellent opportunity for the Florida Democrats if they do pick her. Because the other option is he could pick himself, which is also a terrible idea. But whoever he picks is going to be a monster. So I say, sure, go with Lara Trump. She sounds absolutely terrible, and hopefully the Democratic Party will find a good candidate this time. You know, no offense to Debbie Muthel-Powell, but she ran on working with Trump, and that didn't work. Before that, we had, you know, an ex-cop who was known for losing her gun, and I just like, let's find Florida has good Democrats. I've met them. They're all over the state. This is an opportunity for 2026. Come on, Lara, we can take you on. You know.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Well, any other comments on this? Well, then,
Lara Trump,
done.
No.
Then
Good on her.
That is today's news for the LGBT community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these type of stories, that's types of LGBTQ stories, sorry about that, emotion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Eric Restivo, and on behalf of these fabulous LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Caridad Moro-Gronlier, Adam DeRosa, Dr. Bobby Huen, and Alex Morash, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ world, we wish you
good night.
Good night.